You've just really been getting started so far this morning. What's the main theme, do you think? What are the most pressing concerns out of the people that you've spoken to so far?
Well, I think, as I was saying, and as one or two of the other speakers have said, it's about changing the way we tell our story. I think there's still a big gap between how people perceive the mining sector and how we would like to be perceived. And I think it's about articulating our purpose and aligning society with us. We need to deliver a lot of metals for the modern way of life, and in order to do that we need support from financiers, from customers, from communities, and I don't think we're yet fully aligned.
Do you think there's a misconception, particularly when it comes to the technology side of things for the industry?
I think not so much on the technology, although I think there is a perception that we're not an innovative industry, and in fact I think we're a very innovative industry. We came up with driverless vehicles a long time before Google. And, it's 10 years now since Rio and BHP have had driverless vehicles out in the Pilbara. There are all sorts of other innovations going on. And so from that point of view, anyone wanting to work in high tech, I think mining is one good place to be.
Are you starting to see a return to that kind of investment now?
There's a lot of investment and support for innovation because that drives efficiency, and efficiency, from my point of view as the CEO of an organisation focused on sustainability, also means optimising the use of resources, not wasting anything, minimising the impact to the planet. So that's one reason, and it's also cost-driven. If you can get more efficient, you're driving your costs down. Yeah,
costs, profitability. I mean, is that always going to be the gap when it comes to the debate over sustainability for stakeholders?
I think it's about distributing benefits fairly and making sure that your impacts on surrounding communities are as positive as possible. So, yes, of course, everyone has to make money, because that's why not just mining companies but all companies exist. But the way that is done has to be fair and balanced, and has to be on a partnership basis with communities. So one of the themes this morning that I was talking about is that we need to collaborate and engage much better with communities and with other stakeholders to make sure that we're treating them as true partners and not just as a sort of CSR sideshow.
Yeah, ticking the boxes, right. You spoke about driverless transport just a couple of minutes ago. Do you see the kind of more widespread mainstream adoption of using electric vehicles across mines?
Yes, and in fact 2 of our members are already building all-electric underground mines, and I think we'll see more of that. And later on today, during our meetings with our member CEOs, we'll be discussing an initiative to eliminate carbon emissions from all vehicles. That's going to take some time, but I think it's time that we started that journey.
What about safety technology? Because you consistently still see the gap between what goes on in the developed world, mines, and what's going on in developing world mines. Do you see that gap being closed anytime soon?
Well, we track our member safety statistics across the world, and in aggregate, our fatalities are moving in the right direction, i.e. downwards. And actually the fatality rates don't tend to be significantly higher in developing countries. It more depends on what type of mine you're dealing with. But one of the things that we've identified is that the biggest cause of fatalities is interaction, or one of the biggest causes is interaction with mobile equipment. So another thing that we'll be focusing on with the CEOs this afternoon is what can we do to reduce or eliminate the possibility of basically interactions between people and things that are moving, which is what accounts for a significant portion of the fatalities.
When we look at the mining of commodities and metals that contribute to essentially innovation, new technology, electric vehicles. You look at cobalt, for example, there's been lots of concerns over exactly where that comes from and how it comes about to result in the end product.
Yep.
Is there enough focus going on in terms of that? And do investors, you feel, and stakeholders care about the origins of where these commodities are coming from?
Yes, I think, I think that's been hugely topical. About 2-3 years ago, Amnesty International put a report together which focused on the issues around the artisanal mining of cobalt, principally in the DRC. And, they highlighted that a lot of this cobalt ends up with Apple in our iPhones and our Apple Macs. And, So from the point of view of end consumers, people like Apple, they're very concerned about their reputation. They've been focusing a lot on this, and that's been driving change. That's been driving how we think about our responsible performance expectations, and it's been driving a lot of the other commodity associations and how they think about it as well. So I think that is going to change, and there'll be a lot more pressure on end users, not just Apple, but other end users, to be able to demonstrate that their supply chain is properly clean and that they don't have, for example, child labour in their phones. What
kind of technology? I'm clearly thinking of blockchain technology that could actually be meaningfully implemented to stop that from happening.
I think blockchain can help, but I think blockchain is part of the solution, because blockchain can only trace material from the entry point. You still need someone at the entry point to be controlling the product that has been mined and certifying that there's no child labour involved. So it has to be a combination, I think, of blockchain and human intervention at the beginning.